Hello, lads and lasses. Hey, if you like today's lesson, then please get a job at the airport as a baggage handler and then change all the tags on people's luggage to tags that say I heart art, as this would really help spread the good word about my class. Okay, we are back at our painting, and so I'm going to do this little piece of candy right there. So when I look at my picture, all right, it's this one right here. And I learned from the last piece of candy that I did that I really need to examine for highlights before I paint. So on this piece of candy, it's red, but I see one, two, three highlights on there. So I need to paint around them first. All right, so I'm going to start with white. By the way, everybody here in the classroom, when you pour your paints, pour tiny little bits of paint, all right? And so I was painting earlier and I painted for about half an hour. And even though I poured tiny little bits of paint, most of this went down the sink. So we'll just conserve paint that way. All right, so I see a big spot of white right there. And I know it's hard seeing white paint on white paper. And then right next to it is a big circle. So I'll paint that white circle. And then the other highlight, the third highlight, is over on the left side, right about right there. All right, and then I'm using my small brush. So, those of you here in the classroom, when I wash off my brush and then I flick it on the floor so that there's no water dripping from the brush, I call that a naked brush because it has no paint, no water on it. So I get a naked brush and I'm going to fill in outside of that white that I just painted. So I'm trying to be extra careful. Oh, and I picked up some of the white. All right, try to be more careful this time. And it's hard to see the shape of the white highlight on the white paper. All right, now before I go any further or farther, I'm going to blur the edge of the highlights so it kind of looks like the highlight is glowing. So with a naked brush, nothing on my brush, and I'm going to just rub the edges of the highlight. And I have to continuously get the water and the paint off my brush so that I'm not adding anything to it, that I'm able to blur. There we go. That's looking good. That's looking good. Just a little bit of pink around that white dot before it turns red. And on this one right here, it looks like my pink was a little bit too much. So I'm going to add a little bit of white on top of that. There we go. So I just have a little bit of a pink outline around the white highlight, and then it goes to a red candy. And I'm going to lock the, let's try it again. All right. So then once again, it's a red candy. So I'm going to paint it red. And I'm going to make sure that there's no little bit of white in between colors. And then I'm also going to go around the other highlight, and that's a smaller highlight. So I'll do red around the highlight. And red all the way down there. And then I'm going to blur that highlight. So get a naked brush. Just go around the edge of the white. naked brush. Go around the edge of the white. Just want to get a faint pink blur around that highlight. All right, now the other thing I notice about this piece of candy that is darker on the bottom. So there's a shadow along the bottom of the candy and it's lighter at the top. So we need to make dark red. And we're going to do that with black. All right. All right. So now I'm going to make some dark red. I'm going to use my bigger brush to use to mix dark red. So I'm going to get a bunch of just a big blob of red, put it right there. Another big blob of red, put it right there. Wash off my brush, naked brush, get a little dot of red and add it to that big blob. And it made it darker, but it's just not dark enough. Wash off my brush, flick off the extra water. And I'm going to be a little bit bolder with my black. All right. And when I mix that in, that gives me the dark red that I want. All right, and remember how I told you guys that it's not a good thing to use black to darken your colors. But with red, there's no other color that's going to make it dark. You know, adding purple to red just kind of makes it a dark, it makes it a purple, purplish red. It doesn't really increase the darkness of it. So that's what the black does. But I want to remind you that adding black to colors, especially like yellow, and especially like warm colors like orange, kind of really dulls down the color. We want to keep these bright colors. So I'm using my black very sparingly. I'm not doing a lot of black. All right, then I'm going to get my little brush, naked brush, and I'm going to put a fresh layer of red just on the border of that dark red. And with my naked brush, I'm going to blend the area between them. And by blending the area between them, those of you here in the classroom, I haven't shown you this yet, but that's just taking, when you have like a dark color and a light color together, you get a naked brush and you just lightly brush it on the border and it blends them. And I'm going to come in with that plain red right on here. All right, now there were two red candies together, and because one is red and the other is red and they share a border, it kind of loses where one ends and the other begins. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of this dark red to the candy in the behind so that we can see a difference between the two.